Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with the Texas portion of it. So we have friends who are not from Texas. Just ignore me for a second, guys. But the Texas folks, gosh, it is wow. We have 6 weeks left to put business under contract this year. I believe in us. I believe in you. Whenever you feel like I don't know if anybody's buying or selling, all you have to do just go to your MLS, whether that's Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Midland, Austin, wherever you are in the middle of all of this, and just go to closings last 7 days, and you'll see that there were probably, I don't know, I don't know your area, but in the Austin area, we have 900 closings a week. Somebody bought something, somebody sold something. You just need to be the one helping them. So there's always people buying and selling. So I'm excited that we have a good 6 weeks left. Technically, even you might even squeeze in a seventh week if you work Thanksgiving week. So kudos to you if you are going to be doing that. And then for everyone, not just our Texas folks, tomorrow, Ben and Jolene are doing kind of a pre-business planning at our regular all partner call time. So definitely don't want to miss that. If you have scheduled something during that time, I would probably unschedule it and put the priority on this particular one. And then next week for a lot of us is business planning. A lot of the pre-work, and then we get to see each other, and so that'll be fun. Today we have a special topic, which will be really super exciting. We're gonna hear from Peter and Sarah, who are experts at this topic, and not just not technology, right?
Sure is on. Oh my God, if we can figure out technology. And the full confession, we've never done this class via Zoom. So this is our first time doing it on Zoom. So bear with us if you don't mind.
We feel good about it.
It's usually a 4-hour class, and we've condensed it down to 3.
Amazing.
Let's see if I can get this to open up.
The reason that we're having this class, guys, is a lot of our partners have voiced that either maybe they're younger in their growth journey, their professional growth journey, and they need to discover their big why. And then we have people who have done what they wanted to do. The last 5 years have been good 5 years for them. They've achieved what they wanted to, and they kind of need to rediscover what their new big why might be. So I'm going to let Sarah and Peter take it over, and I'm going to be a listener just as much as everyone else, because there's things I'm going to pick up. So we appreciate you, Sarah and Peter, and we'll let you guys take it over. And this is being recorded so that, if you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get that, don't you worry. Cool?
That sounds great. Well, let's start at the beginning. Just like Adelina said, I started trying to figure out what my big why was in my 40s. I had no idea, none. And then I went through my 50s. I was still like clueless. So I met Peter and we got married in my 50s. I'm now 66, full disclosure. And we both had been struggling to find our why, because every time we had a coach, our coach would say our why wasn't big enough. So people say, oh, my why is my children. Not big enough. Not big enough. Think way bigger. And, you heard Brandon talk about yesterday, the thing that the dumb goals, the dream, the big dream. That's how you need to think about your big why. What is your legacy? So if I can figure out how to go to the next slide.
If you go to okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the 2 greatest days in anyone's life are the day they're born and the day they discover why. Mark Twain. A lot of this stuff we're going to pull from our own personal experiences. Peter is a certified One Thing coach, and I'm certified to teach The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which I did for many years. And we pulled our life experience and Simon Sinek, et cetera, and we put together our version of discovering what's your big why and our experiences of we call it excavating because it's really digging deep to figure out what is your why. So we're going to ask you to get a pad of paper, pencil and pen, and you may need more than one. So we're going to do a few little exercises. Here's me. I'm been a realtor since 2004. Doesn't matter. That's not having anything to do with what we're doing today. I'm here as a guide. I'm not an expert. I'm a guide. So I'm guiding you with a flashlight, and we're going through a dark tunnel. So that's how I want you to think. And at the end of the tunnel, there's going to be light. Peter, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. It's a privilege and pleasure to be with you today. So a little bit about my history. I was with the Coca-Cola company for 22 years here in Atlanta. And before that, actually consulted with a consulting company, Arthur D. Little, based out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, for 7 years. And then had a variety of leadership roles at Coke before I took what I call early rewirement in 2015. After that, one of the first things I did was get certified on the John Maxwell team as a coach, trainer, and speaker, and then pursued certification on the one thing in terms of coaching and training. I am a licensed real estate salesperson in Georgia as well, and have been an active kind of full-time for the last 3 years with my wife's team. I've always kind of been in the background. But I think what I want to just say is we're delighted you're here. We encourage you to really try to set all other things aside for the next 3 hours. And just,
it's going to be hard. I know the phone is.
It's hard. It's hard. But if you can, we live in a highly distracted world. And this next 3 hours can be just incredibly powerful. It can be incredibly useful to you as you enter 2024 business planning. This is a great, we hope this serves you extremely well in terms of setting the foundation and with greater clarity. So encourage you to just dig in. We are not going to be doing a lot of talking. We are guiding you through a number of exercises and encouraging you to dig deep. So again, a pleasure to be with you. Sarah, say a little bit about why this class.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, my parents both died in their 40s, and it left me completely anchorless. I was adopted, and so when they died, I was an orphan in so many ways, and thought, I don't know who I am, and I don't know why I'm here. And so I'm going to spend however long it takes to figure that out. So I got a little bit of inheritance from my dad, and Peter and I were best friends at that time. And I called him and I said, got this little bit of money, and I was thinking about coaching. He said, I think your dad would be really pleased. So I signed up to do coaching with Jack Canfield, which I did for a year. And part of that class on the success principles was trying to figure out what your big why was. Unfortunately, after that year, I still didn't know what my big why was. And I was disappointed and thought, I spent all this money. But no, what happened was I started digging through the rubble of my life, the rocks. So I had to take the rocks off to get down to what are they called? Those Fabergé eggs. It's buried. So we're going to try to help you get there faster than we did. We're going to talk today about your life timeline, your core values, your core beliefs, your valued behaviors, your purpose, your vision, and all of those things are going to lead you to develop your own big why. And look, if you don't get there today, that's okay. We want to write these things down, because these are going to be important over the next 2.5 hours. But this is how you're going to find it. This is your path. So Peter's going to lead us through this exercise.
Sure. So I don't know that any of you, if you have, you could raise your hand, but have any of you been through the process of reflecting
What?
and,
Fridays.
and
Oh
thinking,
no, I have it at 2:30.
developing a life timeline? Well, I suggest you pursue it in the following manner, that you draw, basically separate your life into 7-year segments. Now, some people ask me, why 7 years, Peter? And physiologically, every 7 years, we're a new person, with the exception of our brain cells. But physiologically, our body turns over every 7 years. I think it's also just having run this exercise a number of times, it's a convenient kind of time frame. And so what I'd like you to do is spend the next 15 minutes reflecting on your life in 7-year segments, and just take and think back to your earliest memories between, when you were 0 to 7. And what are your happiest moments, your fondest memories, your most significant accomplishments? What were your greatest adversities that you faced? And who were the people that were most important to you? What were your dreams or goals in that time period? And do that for each of these 7 years. So, there's no one way to organize this. This is a graphic in one way you might organize it. And for those of you that are older than 42, it's not meant to stop at 42. Okay. Just keep going. For those of us, I'm 67. So, but, take some time now. We're allotting you 15 minutes to do this. This is the beginning of the excavation. And sometimes I would just share with you, it's been our experience in other workshops where this process can become emotional for people. So I just want to allow you some safe space here. No judgment. And encourage you to.
It's not like we're going to, you're going to share it on the screen or anything.
Yes, we're not going to, certainly at the end of this, we have a slide for ahas, if there are any ahas that people want to share, but there's no one through this workshop. There's no pressure on anyone to share or be forced to share. Okay. Only if you're moved to share. Only if you're moved to share.
We're going to go on silent now.
Yes.
And we're going to.
I'll put the timer on. 15 minutes. We're about halfway through the 15 minutes. We have about 3 minutes.
So I'm looking at the screen and I see a lot of people starting to look up, and so I know you're through with the exercise. Um, I'd be curious, did anyone get any ahas or see any patterns in your life that were repeated?
It's funny that it looks like my adversities show up every like two cycles.
Cycles?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah. I
Interesting. Yeah.
had never thought of it, or so what patterns am I not breaking to have some of the same adversities?
Hmm.
Interesting. I'll never forget one training we did. A woman, right after this exercise, she said, I mean, she blurted out, I knew it. I knew it. And she stood up and walked out.
Oh, well,
We never found out what she knew.
oh,
Yeah, it was a little crazy, but does anyone else want to share? Well, I'll tell you a funny one that I learned when I did this. Um, so a fun fact about me, I was the valedictorian of my kindergarten class. And so obviously that showed up throughout my life in terms of being um, out front, being in front of people. Uh, but I can remember, I really do remember, it's crazy. I stood up in front of the whole kindergarten class and I was like, friends, parents, faculty, welcome to the kindergarten graduation class. Anyway, that's just a little fun fact, a little levity.
Well, and
So
let me just chime in. So my as I reflected on my life story, the earliest memories I have are me with a little play guitar. It was Mattel guitar with these little plastic things that you slotted inside and you cranked it and it clicked out a little tune. Now, recurring across my life has been music and the importance of music. My father had a great voice, sang in the house only. I tried to quit choir in seventh grade. My choral director at the time didn't allow me to, and went on and sang through high school and sang in college in the Glee Club and sang in multiple different choirs, across my life. And music's been a big part of my life. In fact, Sarah in 2004 encouraged me to go into the recording studio. And so I went into the recording studio and recorded a CD for my daughters, 6 Josh Groban tunes. And I had so much fun doing it. I did it the next 3 years. So, and then I sent the compilation of my music back to my music teacher in high school. And I had the good fortune of, she's now 93 years old. She's still alive. And I called her 2 weeks after I sent it, and she was listening to my CD. And I had the great pleasure of just telling her just what a profoundly positive difference she had made in my life. So anyway, these are, hopefully you if you didn't finish this exercise, we encourage you to take the additional time to finish it.
So now we're moving on to discovering what your core values are. How many on this call has ever done that exercise to figure out what your core values are? I'd love to see a show of hands. Yeah, a good number.
Yeah.
And I did wonder that because we are with place, and that's probably one of the things. But core values guide your behaviors and actions. They guide your internal interactions and relationships to the external world, underlie the work you do and how you do it, and guide your decision making. So the key is, how do you identify your core values? What are they? Their feelings. When you feel happy, excited, satisfied, when you feel angry, upset, when you're bored or engaged, these are your core values. So I'm putting up the list of core values. I hope it's not too small and you can see it. Our team when we were joining together in 2015, we did this exercise together, and we talked about what we wanted as a team. And so each of us went through and circled 10 things that we wanted to be our team to be. And then we chose the top 5, and then we narrowed it down to 3. So we're going to give you just a few minutes, and I'm going to go back to the list. And you guys figure out what your top 5 to 7. Sorry, guys, I keep accidentally scooting it ahead. Can you see it?
Oh, it's perfect now. I'm like, well, I don't know. I need to go back to the big one.
Wait, sorry. I don't know what I'm like.
There we go.
Trigger happy. Okay, as we're wrapping up here, were you able to get to your top 3 to 5 core values? Obviously, some of these words are similar, but one word may evoke more of an emotional response than another. They may mean the same thing, but one may, because of your life experience, one word may be triggering or comforting or exciting. So now what I want you to do is put them on your list that we have here.
And spend just a minute to define them. What does the core value mean to you? And if you struggle with this, there's always Webster's dictionary. Do not struggle, but it's important to define what the word means.
For example, here, accountability is willing to accept responsibility for your commitments and your actions.
As you are, focusing down on your top 5 to 7, a challenging question for you. I want you to reflect on that life story for just a second. And I want you to think about the time in your life when you got the angriest you've ever been. The angriest you've ever been. And what I'd like you to do is think about what core value was violated and see if that core value is in your top 5 to 7.
That's a good way to try to figure out what's important to you.
I'll never forget one evening when Sarah was very upset at someone who was interacting actually with a client of ours in ways that was, if you will, throwing Sarah under the bus. Now, I said to her, Sarah, it's obvious why you're so upset. She said, what do you mean? I said, this person violated one of your most important core values, loyalty. She goes, yeah, you're right.
So it's a great spotlight. When you get triggered by someone, it's because they have violated. So my core values are loyalty and integrity and philanthropy. So doing what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it is extremely important to me. Keeping my word. My dad was a banker, and he used to say, Sarah, your word is like a credit card. Make sure that when you lay down your word, it is like putting money down. So I get triggered by people that don't do that. Does anyone have anything they want to share, a time that they felt violated and you now just discovered that, oh, it's because they violated my core value of blank? We are going to move on then to beliefs. Your core beliefs. Sorry.
Core, values and beliefs are related but different. Your core value is what you hold as most important. A core belief is what you hold as a truth, something that is true. So the example here in distinguishing between the two, if integrity is a core value, and I might define that as living in congruence with what is most important to me, my values, then the core belief might be something along the order of, in order to have deep, meaningful, and long-lasting relationships, I must be a person of integrity. Now, this is a little bit, in my experience in running this exercise, this excavation is a little tougher than working from a list and picking your top 5 to 7. So just, it typically takes a little time, and it takes a bit of iteration, different attempts at wording your belief. But one way to get at a core belief is to answer the question, why is this core value so important to me? And I think as leaders, it's important for people to, important for people on our teams to understand not only the core values of place, but as leaders, what are our core values? And to what degree do they, are they slightly maybe different than places, but they probably are congruent with places. Otherwise, we wouldn't be partnered with place. But, how and why are they important? What are your beliefs associated with your core values? So this is digging a little deeper on your core values with coming up with what is at least one core belief for a few of your core values. So if you were successful in identifying your top 2 or 3, take a crack now at answering the question, why is this core value so important to me? And write out your draft core belief. 2 more minutes.
Peter, what was the slide right before to see how to voice it? Okay, perfect. Just a second. I want to see how that one was voiced.
I was just now looking at the chat, so I'm sorry I didn't know that you guys were just raise your hand and
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, I saw someone saying here that there was a section of their life, a little bit of a blur. And I can absolutely relate to that. It's when I had a lot of life trauma going on, and part of your coping skills are to go on autopilot. So it's that's really normal, guys. But when you start doing these exercises and you start thinking about them, those, because they're still in your psyche, you'll start remembering things. They're still there, that you just put them on hold for a while until you could process them. That's very normal.
Adelina, the first time I did my life story, I resonate with the blur because I was struck by the fact that for much of my life, I lived my life like it was a 100-yard dash. And I, have spent the time since rewiring to actually try to go back and relive some of the experiences because I was moving so fast through them that I, didn't have a lot of memory about them.
Good. Absolutely.
And I was struck by the thought when I did that of that experiences are only rented. It's like real estate. Experiences are only rented. The process of ownership begins and takes place when you ask and answer powerful questions about the experiences you've had. How have I been changed? What have I learned? What now do I have to offer to others? So anyway, yeah.
Well, the other thing I want to point out is that it's not uncommon to get to our age and look back on your life and go, wow, I wasn't present for most of those years. I wasn't present.
Well, I think of like what an opportunity we have wherever we are, right?
Yeah.
To just say, okay, all right, this isn't a 100-yard dash. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can get choked up just thinking about the years that I wished away certain stages of my children because they weren't so much fun. And how I wish I could go back and add a little humor to my world. I took myself way too seriously in my 30s and 40s. And so I didn't have the opportunity to do any of these types of exercises because they weren't available to me. And so I'm hoping to help, even if it's just one person, change the trajectory of their life to just be present in the moment with loved ones. Because in a blink of an eye, it could be gone. Does anybody have anything they want to share? I feel like Peter and I are just like blah, blah, blah. So just jump in there if you want to say something. Love to hear it. Because we learn from each other, you
Yeah.
know, by sharing, and it's a collective experience.
I think, hi, thanks so much for sharing. I think that something for me is like, I'm thinking about the context and my attitude and what the day is like for me now as I'm considering it, right? And sort of, I think Adelina, you were saying like this is how this like shifts, or, but like I feel like approaching this now makes me think, is there a better time for me to go back and reflect on this on a day when I might have a more neutral, or maybe something that's more of like an average day, than maybe that if today I'm having a great day, or if today I'm having a not so great day, it skews the way in which I'm able to dig in to some of these core beliefs and stuff like that. Just a thought I'm having.
No, absolutely. I
I
can
want to
resonate
share
with that. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Peter and I first got married, I was like, I think it was 51 or 52. We were blending a family. I had 2 children, he had 3. And so we did these exercises with our kids, who were all, you know, teenagers and in their 20s at the time. They're all in their 30s now, but
They were all not wanting to do it.
they were all absolutely not wanting to do it.
Let's not kid anybody on this call. Okay.
Correct. No, they were absolutely not wanting to be vulnerable or present or anything, but it set up the stage for, we've been married now 15 years, and it set up the stage for blending our family in a beautiful way. Are our children are blended. They love each other more than I think they love us. But we know that when we're long gone, they'll have each other. And so I do recommend these exercises with your spouse. Peter and I try to do it in January every year. We try to sit down and reconnect on all of these conversations to make sure we're still on the on the same page, and some of these things haven't tweaked or changed. Yes, doing it during the holidays with your family. We actually, that's where we did it. We took our kids on a ski trip, and they were stuck with they were stuck, so they couldn't go anywhere. We were out in Utah, and yep,
Yeah, suckered them into it. Yep.
sure did. And my son was the only one who wouldn't participate, but come to find out later, he was in a heap of trouble.
Yeah.
Big time trouble. And so he was not taught, he was like sat away from the group. Everybody else was involved in the conversation. And then fast forward, but I mean, we found out that he'd gotten arrested, he'd gotten into drugs. He was at the time, I think it was 20. Now he's 31, he's doing great. But anyway, there was something going on with him because he wouldn't participate, and he separated himself from the group. So it is a good way to, and now he says he regrets that he wasn't president, didn't participate, and that he did hear us, that he was acting like he didn't hear us, but he did hear us. So these are great exercises to bring your family together, to get closer to your spouse, but also your team. Alina, I really hats off to you for encouraging your team to participate, because this is not easy stuff. This is lifting some big rocks off of yourself so that you can get down to that Fabergé egg.
Yeah, I love this because, like, is today the perfect day? I don't know that it is for anybody, right? Like, it's the fourth quarter. We're all like just so like focused on what we need to do, and then we have life behind it all happening, and some of it's like really hard stuff right now happening for us. But since we already time blocked this time, the way I'm looking at it is like, this is my head start to get into all of this. And I may find a better day this month or next year, but this is the best day. Like I'm going to give 100% of the 20% that I have today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, to build on what was said too, I mean, some people have taken this exercise and shared with us. They've gone on and with the family crafted the core values of the family with their children. And how powerful can that be? Because we'll get to it, but my belief is your core values, your core beliefs, and your purpose are your compass for life. And,
Yeah, I think about that because if the word compass is really important in what you just said, because if I'm not sure where I'm going and why I'm doing it, then it's super easy to end up in the wrong direction. And it's also super easy to feel like I've got a lack of purpose. And it's super easy to be on autopilot during that time with a lack of happiness, honestly.
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just saying, don't make the same mistakes we did. I mean, you will, just because it's the time in your life, but hopefully by us shedding some light on this stuff, it'll give you food for thought and make you pause. I didn't even have this information. So, anyway, so let's move on to
Your value behaviors.
Yeah. So Peter.
Yeah. So, this is digging a little bit even deeper around your core values. And it's really trying to be clear about, with behavioral descriptions, what describes this. Now, during our calls, right, on Mondays and Fridays, we frequently are led through the process of asking for people to share where they have seen people living the values of place, right? So, we get some kind of descriptors through that sharing, but what at least Sarah and I believe is important is to add an additional level of detail to your core values.
To the place core values, you mean?
Well, to your core values, to whether they're places, no, to your individual core values. And these basically are, once they are defined, they are more likely to be modeled. So again, for the people that did this with their family and they blew it down to, behaviors, then there's a way to check in with the kids. I mean, are we modeling? What did we say it meant to be kind? We spoke positively about one another. Are we doing that today? I'm not sure we're living that core value today. So it allows all of us to be clearer about, what does kindness mean? What does friendship mean? What does teamwork mean? What does integrity mean? What does loyalty mean? So encourage you to just spend a little bit more time here on your core values. And I think the next slide, Sarah, shares some examples around our team's additional 3 core values, which Sarah mentioned are loyalty, integrity, and philanthropy. And so these are the behavioral. So loyalty we define as unwavering devotion and support to our clients and each other. So we reliably work with the highest interest of all our clients and each other. We are trustworthy in all our interactions with clients, vendors, attorneys, lenders, and team members. We are steadfast in our care and commitment to our clients and each other. Integrity, honest and truthful in our interactions with others. We express our true selves in our interactions with others. We are transparent in our relations with others. We are authentic in making and keeping commitments. And finally, philanthropy, committed to supporting others in need. We willingly give time, talents, and resources to others in need and expect nothing in return. We gratefully look for and find ways to be of service to others. We use our resources to empower others to overcome challenges. So when these may not be how you would describe them, and that's okay. but it's worth the effort to get a little more detailed, I believe, we believe, around your core values. And if you're on a team and you do this with your team's values to the extent, or we've done this with the place 6 values, by the way. We've also defined those with behavioral statements.
Well,
So
what we do on Monday in our Monday team call and is we go through the place core values, and then we go through these. We read them aloud. We read the place core values, and then we read these core values. And we take turns reading them aloud, just to get it, continue to subliminally put it in our head so that it's there all the time and we can pull it up at any point, and it guides our daily actions. So that's just an example. And so we got one more exercise, and then we're going to take about a 5-minute break to go to the potty, get something to drink. We're about halfway through. So if you would work on this would be great. So just choose one of those core values that you did. Write your belief that's associated with that value. And then you write the valued behavior. So I'm going to go back and give you an example. This is Chatel core values. These may not be your core values, but this is our value. This is our belief.
And these are some examples of valued behavioral statements.
Right. So your value, your beliefs, and then the behaviors that go along with.
Go back up, go back to,
Sorry.
there you
Yep.
go. Leave that one up for them.
Just as so as an example. So we'll do this exercise for 10 minutes. Then we'll take a 5-minute potty break. So it's 3:06. We'll come back at 3:25.
I love your math, Sarah.
Thank you. I like rounding.
We'll get started in about 5 minutes. You ready, Sarah?
I think we have one more minute. Ha! It's 3:25.
There you go.
So did everyone get a chance to work on that, and they feel like they've got a good handle on the core values, beliefs, and valued behaviors?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what was really interesting when I was doing this that surprised me was, for example, the word excellence, right? Like, what does that mean to me, and how do those behaviors show up for me, or what drives that for me? I thought that was really interesting because it would sound different for you, Sarah. Um, like it really brings it home. The word excellence means something, but then the behaviors that I envision for it may be different from yours. Really makes it yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it changes. I think these things change, which is why you need to look at them really every 7 years, because you change and your passions change and your trajectory of your life changes. Things happen, that you don't even anticipate at this point in your life that is going to change everything for you. And so I recommend you look at this every 7 years. So
Well,
let's,
I mean, for me personally, so, I just would add, when there's something that really upsets you, um, it is a time to take a look and see if something about, is it in your core values? So, I mean, for me, uh, my core values, I tweaked slightly a few years ago because it was very clear to me that dignity and respect of all human beings was really critical, and it wasn't in my top 5 to 7, but I was just very troubled by what was going on in the world. And so I added dignity / respect, but anyway, things happen in the outside world and the inside world. So anyway.
So let's move on now to talk about, so we're getting closer to the big why. Now we're on to the mission statement. And you're wondering, what's the difference between a mission statement and my big why? Peter, would you like to talk about that?
I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. A good mission and vision statements are concise and inspirational. They're easy to memorize and repeat. They're straightforward, engaging, realistic, and describe a bright future. They should state your intentions, summarize, reflect your values, and demonstrate your commitment to live these values. Does anyone here on the call have a mission statement?
So I make a distinction. Not everybody does. Let me just acknowledge that. For me, mission is more of an organizational statement of purpose. I think of a purpose statement. My purpose statement is more of a personal statement, an individual statement. Now, let me just acknowledge, not everybody would agree with that distinction. Some people view mission and purpose synonymous, as meaning the same things, and that's okay too. I just, for the work that I've done and coaching others, I've said, listen, mission I think of as organizational, purpose is more individual, if that helps at all. So
for instance, our team mission statement is to provide an extraordinary experience to everyone in real estate. And my purpose statement is to leave people, places, and things better than I found them. So you could say that I do that with real estate, but my purpose is to provide aha moments So every person that I come in contact, I want to get an aha from them, or I want them to get an aha from me, so that I know that we left each other in a better spot before we started talking. Peter, what's yours?
Well, my purpose is to continually learn and grow so that I might better serve and educate others. And I define educate as bringing out in others what already resides there. So I would also say, create the conditions for others to learn and grow in transformational ways. Simplistically, that's how I say it, to help to create the conditions for others to learn and grow in transformational ways. And I'm continually trying to learn and grow in transformational ways. So
Oh, I like that, Ray. I strive to be the best me so I can be the best for others. That's great.
yes, yeah,
It's great. Thanks for sharing that.
yes.
So I encourage you to get a mission statement for your team and also get a purpose statement for your life.
I think the next, compelling.
So the compelling mission purpose statement needs to tell what you do, whom you serve, sorry for the typo, and to what end. Mission, organization, purpose, individual. So these are mission statements. Place, its mission statement is to deliver the dream of home ownership everywhere. Keller Williams, to have careers worth having and businesses worth owning for lives worth living. Chick-fil-A, be America's best quick service restaurant. To glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us, to have a positive influence on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And the Coca-Cola Company, to refresh the world. Of course, we have to throw that one in.
Couldn't leave that out.
Inspire moments of optimism and happiness with your Coca-Cola, create value and make a difference. My one Diet Coke a day. So let's take a stab at working on our own purpose statement or mission statement, whatever you want to call it. But make a list of 5 things that you would do for free just because you enjoy doing them. Doing them makes you happy. Then make a list of 5 things that you would change about yourself or the world to make a better life. And somewhere in these 10 things that you write is the beginning of your mission purpose statement. So we are going to take a few minutes to work on that. So I'm going to go back and we're going to take 5 minutes. Okay. We're back. Does anyone venture to share? Be brave. Go forth.
Your 5 minutes sure goes quickly, Sarah.
I'm watching the clock. I want to make sure we get through all this material.
Oh, we got plenty of time. We're fine. Anyway.
I mean, I like to help regardless of whether I'm getting paid or not. Whether that's like any kind of context, whether it's my kids, my family, my team, somebody homeless, like I just can't say no to helping.
Yeah. And that's why you do what you do and you're so successful at it. It comes across as authentic. People see that.
I'll go.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Sure. I enjoy making people smile. I enjoy making people laugh. Um, I think just bringing people happiness overall is what I really enjoy, and I would do that for free.
I love that. Anyone else? So, by reviewing the kind of person you are and the abilities that come naturally to you, even if they got you into trouble in the past, you can gain insight into your life purpose, says psychotherapist Tina Tessina, author of The 10 Smartest Decisions a Woman Can Make After 40. It's not just for women, but she just wrote, it says women, but it's transferable. So now I want you guys to write down a list of descriptions about yourself in the following categories: personal qualities, friendly, intellectual, good communicator, your talents, painting, motivating people by public speaking, athletics, mentoring, circumstances that tend to repeat in your life. Do you wind up teaching others, listening to people's problems, working with children or tech?
Helping others.
Desires to travel, clean up the environment, run for political office? Please do. We need help. Or then take the answer that's most important in each category and complete the following sentence. I am designed to be a who can, and I find myself often because I'm supposed to blank. So this is another 5-minute exercise. And I'm going to look at my phone at the time. So
But we'll take 3 minutes for the 5-minute exercise.
he's a smarty pants.
Okay, so I'll jump the gun a little bit on this one. So, what'd you think? I mean, this is a little bit more like fill in the box and get you into a purpose statement that's a little bit of a algorithm or mathematical equation. Did anybody find that useful? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one we added it. It was one we added it in the past because there were some people who didn't quite get there or couldn't get there with the previous exercise, and so some people have found this to be just another tool in the toolkit of excavation to get clarity, get clearer about your purpose. Now, there's one additional exercise before we move on that I'm going to suggest to you all, that on a sheet of paper, you write your purpose statement. And below it, you write your core values, your top 5 to 7, with the definitions. Okay. And if you can, add in one core belief for each of your 5 to 7 or 2 to 3, how many ever core values you want, and that you tape that to your bathroom mirror and you read it every morning for 30 days. So you can date your purpose statement now. You don't have to marry it. You can tweak it, but to read it every morning and then say, ask yourself, so Peter, how are you going to live into this today? And then read it again at night and say, Peter, how did you live into this today? And over that 30 days, you may decide to tweak the purpose statement a little bit, and you might even modify the definitions or modify core values, but it's a great centering exercise. It doesn't have to take long, but it's a great centering exercise at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. So encourage you to do that. This is just another form to write out a purpose statement, your purpose statement on, if it's useful. It's another way. And here is Jack, Sarah's coach, mentor.
To inspire and empower people to live their highest vision in the context of love and joy and harmony with the highest good of all concerned. It's a powerful purpose statement.
You can tell what some of his core values are right there, right? Love, joy, harmony.
Inspire, empower.
Yeah. So, just would acknowledge your purpose, is personal. But if you want to see whether you've been honest or are close, we encourage you to share it with other people who know you well in your life. Be bold if you've not done this before, not done it, and not shared it with anyone. We encourage you to share it with, particularly your spouse or significant other or partner, and others that are important in your life.
Oh, and they may help you tweak it.
Yeah.
They may say that doesn't go deep enough.
Now to vision. Your vision describes what you want to achieve in the future. Ideally, it's a highly detailed mental picture of your preferred future. Where do I want to be is the question to answer. It defines your desired future state. It's a mental picture that you can hold on to that will be pulling you forward. It inspires you to give your best and shapes your understanding of why you do what you do. So encourage you to, have a vision that's not just, 1 year from today. We're about to enter the business planning process where we will, if you will, craft a vision for our businesses for the next 12 months. But I encourage you to be thinking in terms of your life even further out than that. At a minimum, 5 years, and if you can, 10 years, with as much detail as you can. Now, recognize things happen, things change, and your vision isn't necessarily something that is fixed. You should come back to it, revisit it on at least an annual basis, and kind of say, "Hey, listen, where am I? Is it still that?" Now, I can tell you what's pulling me forward, because in terms of a vision, and Sarah and I have a vision. I'm not sure our time frame is exactly aligned. Sarah, as you can tell by the exercises, likes to move quickly. But in the next 3 to 5 years, our vision is to build a team here in Atlanta that's between 10 and 20 people, and to have a director of sales and a director of operations running that team, so that we are able to go to Central Florida, where her sister has moved in the last year, so that Sarah can be closer physically to her sister in this part of our life, and to not just go there, but to build an expansion team in Central Florida. That is our vision. And I can tell you, we're working very hard, and it's what's pulling me forward in terms of every day, what I am crystal clear about. Where are we headed? So, visions can be very powerful and useful. And so I encourage you to take this time to think think deeply about where you want to be 1, 3, 5 years from now. Sarah, you can move to the next slide. And, one of the most powerful things that I saw happen at the Coca-Cola Company was a new director of technical, and I was in the quality and technical arena at Coke, came in. And when he came in, he actually worked with some leaders and drafted an article for Fortune magazine. It wasn't Entrepreneur magazine. It was for Fortune magazine, with what the headline was and what the substance was, describing how the technical organization had propelled Coca-Cola forward over the last 5 years. And it was written for a volume and issue 5 years from the date it was written. And that's a powerful vision. I mean, it was very, very powerful. And so, the prompt here is, if you're a writer at all, is to think about what that headline in Entrepreneur magazine would be about you 5 years from today. What would that headline say? And if you're really a writer, what would the article say? Write the article. That's if you're a writer. I mean, there's all kinds of ways of creating a vision. Sarah teaches a vision board class. So creating the vision board, at least for the year ahead. But if not 5 years ahead, what does it look like? What's included?
Yeah, I started teaching vision boards in 1998, back when they were kind of new. And so I taught them in Atlanta at a bookstore that is no longer here, but for 10 years, I had 4 classes a year, and it was life-changing for me, because I every time I did the workshop with people, it changed me. So and every year you look back and you see how powerful your intentions are. And I remember one year I did a vision board, and I put a picture of a house that I just loved. It was an English Tudor house. It was the year was 2014. And then we got busy, and then we were doing some work around the house, and it got rolled up and put away, and I didn't find it until teaching vision board in December of 2015. And we had bought the house that was on that picture. subconsciously. So images are very powerful. Words are very powerful. So visualize yourself in the most successful way you can possibly dream, bigger than you ever. And if you need help doing that, we can offline, we can help guide you through dreaming big. But that's what this visioning process is where in 5 years, what are people going to say about you?
This is definitely an exercise to share with your spouse, significant other, partner, and to encourage that person to do this as well, and then to come together and talk about it. Talk about it. Where's the overlap? Where there may be differences? Where are we unified? What do we need to talk through? How can we get unified about this vision of the future?
So, you want to lead this one?
Yeah, take it. Well, this is the exercise. So we'll take approximately 7 to 10 minutes and allow you to craft your vision. I believe, or I envision. And these are just different, if you will, aspects of life that you may want to address in your vision. Your spiritual aspect, your mental, your physical, your career, family, your financial, and friends. So encourage you to what does that look like? I would encourage you to think out 5 years first. Where do you want to be 5 years from today? Spiritually, mentally, physically, career, family, financially, and with friendships. Define that. Okay. So, just as an aside, I went to Sarah this morning. I said, I want to retitle our presentation, which she didn't agree to. So I'm going to tell you what I wanted to retitle it to. I wanted to retitle it to Winning Your Big Why. And some people may say, winning your big why. Well, how is that an appropriate title? And so one of the definitions of to win comes out of the mining industry. And we've been talking about excavation. To win in mining is to obtain the ore. Now, the ore is what's of value. Everything else in mining is called slag. And so, to win in mining, winning is the process of preparing the mine to discover the ore. And I think of the big why as a pretty valuable piece of ore within ourselves. And I just think, this is a process of preparing ourselves to discover the ore. So that's why I'd say winning your big why. So we've been through the exercises, we've been through the timeline, and we've been through defining and obtaining, your top 5 to 7 core values. And you may still have some work to do here, and that's okay. We've talked about your core beliefs, the difference between values, what you hold as most important, and beliefs, what you hold as a truth. Then we talked about the additional utility, usefulness of having defined your valued behaviors for each of your values. And then your purpose, what you are here to do. And then also you've just recently, finished work to define a vision for at least 5 years out. And, then there's, okay, what would it, to get closer to now is, what would you need to have accomplished 3 years from now to achieve that 5 years from now? And then finally, in order to get there 3 years from now, where do you want to be a year from now? That's called goal setting to the now. And basically, it's what we do for every project we work on. We basically say we want to do a client event in February. It's going to be a movie event, and we need to start publicizing that at the end of December and telling people to hold the date. And so we goal set to the now. We, basically that's the deadline, and we've got to figure out what we need to do between now and then to have that client event be as successful as possible. The same principle holds true with our lives. So that's the utility and usefulness of a vision, is then to begin to put together, okay, so what's the plan of action to get me where I want to be? So all of that in preparation for the big why. Now, why is why so important? I think, this human dynamic is important to recognize. This is true for all of us. It doesn't matter how successful you are, what you've accomplished in the past. There's always that, you're starting out, we're starting a new year. We've got this, to a certain degree, uninformed optimism about 2024, because we don't know what 2024 is going to bring. We have people who are prognosticating all kinds of things, but we don't know. And we have uninformed optimism about it. But pretty soon we get into this zone of informed pessimism. This can become the valley of despair for a lot of us. I don't know how many times I've started a diet, but this is what happens. We get into that valley of despair. I'm not losing much weight. The heck with that. I want the chocolate chip cookie. I'm going to have it. And then we go back up to phase 1, and there's a new, hey, this is a low carb diet. I'll be successful with this one, or whatever it is. But what we need is a big why. The big why to help us and inspire us to push through to informed optimism. That's I can tell you that's, the big why for me right now in the short term, it may not be a big enough why, but it is basically that vision of having a team, 10 to 20 here in Atlanta and allowing us the opportunity to go grow an expansion team in Florida and to help others. I mean, the bottom line here is to help others build big real estate businesses powered by the technology and systems that we now have. So that's why is so important. Anybody been through that valley of despair? Yeah, I mean,
Like how many times?
yeah, how many times? I mean, yeah, well, and you know what? If you haven't, you will, and if you haven't, I'd say you're not really speaking the truth, because it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. Anyway, so we've done some fair amount of excavation work today. I don't know if that's how it feels to you. Some of this can be, emotionally draining, like we said
Yeah, I
before.
was going to say, some of you may be like feeling really tired right now. Now's about the time when you're like, oh my gosh, I got to take it. I got to lay down. I'm so tired. And it's when you talk about emotional stuff deep within you, it makes you tired. I always call it, remember when Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz is running through the poppies and she's like, I gotta take a nap. I gotta go to sleep. And she lays there. So when I say to Peter, I'm in the poppies, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. So my therapist at one time said, when you start getting at the truth, your subconscious wants to shut down because it's too much to take in. So it's okay to rest and let this percolate, but come back to it. Because when you get really tired, that means you're really close to something big.
And I would just add, if on the other hand, you're here and you're feeling energized, that's okay too. Because for some people, this is energizing. And the new ahas and renewed enthusiasm for clarity around my core values, my core beliefs, my vision, my purpose, this can be energizing for some. So wherever you are is just fine. So, we've got one final visualization exercise that I'd like to guide you through. So I'm going to ask you to just take a moment and get comfortable in a comfortable position. Place both your feet flat on the ground and take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale completely through your mouth. I'm going to ask that you trust me and close your eyes. Now, I'd like to just mention that this guided visualization for some may become an emotional experience as well. So that's just fine. Be open to that. Please let those emotions out. When you do, you'll find it easier to understand your big why at a deeper level. Breathe in through your nose and exhale completely from your mouth. As you inhale through your nose, inhale peace, security, strength, and confidence. As you exhale, release worry, judgment, stress, and today's care. As you begin to relax, I'd like you to picture yourself walking down a dirt road. It's an old road, and it's not traveled very often. There are large trees on both sides of the road that create a canopy above your head. It's autumn, and all the leaves are changing color. You can see the leaves dance below your feet as you walk. You can hear the birds chirping, the leaves breaking under your feet. As you look around, you realize that this is one of the most beautiful places you've ever seen. As you breathe in deeply through your nose, I'd like you to imagine that the air around you is your favorite color. It strengthens you and renews you. You're full of energy, and at the same time, you're very, very relaxed. Now, straying from my words will cause you to refocus your attention on your breathing. As you continue your journey down the road, you begin to walk up a hill. The hill gradually becomes a mountain, and you climb up and up the switchbacks left and right, going higher and higher. You would think that it would become very difficult, and yet it's still very easy, and you're very comfortable. The road has become a walking trail, and you can tell that only a few people have ever been here before. As you breathe in deeply, the air is fresh and crisp. You can feel the sunshine on your back that gives you positive energy. You feel relaxed, comfortable, and happy. Now up ahead, you notice that there's someone ahead on the trail walking towards you. As they get closer, you can tell that this person is much older than you are. You also notice that this person is the same gender as you. You've never experienced this before as you notice that this person has an internal light that shines. It's a warm, bright, but soft light. As this kind elder person approaches you, you begin a conversation as you always have by initiating with a polite greeting. The moment that this wise elder person opens their mouth to speak, you realize that you're engaged in a conversation with yourself 40 years from today. This elder you is about to share your future with you and explain all the positive accomplishments in your life. They're going to share their wisdom with you. They're going to tell you about how you accomplished all those goals you've been thinking about, as well as other goals that you will accomplish. This wise elder person is going to help you become closer to your big why. Now take a few minutes and enjoy the conversation. As you begin to close the conversation, I'd like you to take a moment and thank your future self for sharing their knowledge and wisdom with you. Thank them for allowing you to understand your why to a deeper level. As you say goodbye, you realize that you can have this conversation at any time. And this is not really goodbye at all. It's, I'll see you later. When you're ready, you may open your eyes. And when you do, I'd like you to take a few minutes to write down everything that you can remember from your conversation.
Oh, okay, no problem. I'll be waiting.
Okay, how's everybody doing? Thanks, Adelina. Feel clarified even more, huh?
Well, one of the things that I would do in my Artist Way class at this point in time I would ask people to write a letter from their 90-year-old self to yourself today. So it's the same visualization. Just take a minute to write that letter and put it in an envelope. And then with your opposite dominant hand, meaning if you're right-handed, you write with your left. You write a letter to yourself from your 4-year-old self to your current self with your opposite hand, and give advice to your current self from your 4-year-old self. Put that in the envelope as well. This is a powerful exercise that you can do every couple of years. And it'll be amazing to see how that wisdom and instruction may deepen as you get more clarity about who you are and delve more deeply into your own personal authenticity. You know, everybody thinks, oh, I'm authentic, but are we authentic to ourselves? So, the big why. Does anyone feel any closer to knowing what their big why is? And if you don't, that's okay. It took me years. This is your journey. This is the beginning of your journey. We're just we're guides, and we feel honored to be your guides along this journey to help you discover what your purpose is on earth and what your big why is. And if you let someone read your big why and they say, that's not big enough, then you got to go deeper, which is what I kept writing out my big why, and my coaches would say, not deep enough, not big enough. So we updated this slide based on our call with Brendan yesterday and added the dumb goals. So
Yeah, what's below the surface of an iceberg is 89%. It's what people don't see. If the metaphor of ourselves is that iceberg, so it is our big why. It's our your purpose, your core values, your core beliefs. Now they drive your valued behaviors, and then you've got, you know, a mission and vision that you may share with others. The dumb goals, the smart objectives. Ultimately, what people see typically are the results, but what they don't see is necessarily how the clarity of purpose, clarity of the big why drives, if you will, priority, right? And drives ultimately results in your life. So anybody want to share what their key takeaways are, what they've taken away from today's exercises?
Oh, I'll speak up. I think so I'm 37 now, and the 27-year-old version of me, going back to what you all were talking about, you know, the values that you have then can change. And I remember, you know, I remember like I probably started out where competition was important to me and achievement was important to me. They still are, but today it looks like excellence is important to me. Integrity is important to me. Doing what I say is important to me, right? So it's not that I have necessarily changed in that I'm a different person. I'm still the same person. I'm a much better version of myself. And so, and I expect, you know, 20 years from now that I'm an even better version of myself and I continue to grow. And I just want to encourage everyone who, you know, if you're like, I don't know if I got it yet, and I don't know that I've got it 100% yet, but I know what's next, and I know that by taking the time to dig into these things, it gives me the self-awareness of who I want to be, because we do grow into the things that we want to grow into. So I really appreciate you guys today.
well, we had no idea that we would finish, you know, 30 minutes early. I know that everyone's like, yay. Again, this is the first time we've done this on Zoom. We deleted about half of our slides last night because we were panicked that it was too long. But I think it was just enough, because I can see whoever's online, I can see y'all feel your eyes are looking kind of glazed over, and that's about the time you know that you've had enough. So
Well, I was going to say, my observation of people that had their cameras on, thank you, one, and I recognize not everybody may be in a position to do that, but I really saw, I just want to tell you, I really much appreciate what I observed was people really digging in and, you know, taking the excavation seriously. And ultimately it's really for you, you know, this, hopefully, I hope you view this 2.5 hours as a gift you are giving yourself. You know, I truly hope, our hope is that this 2.5 hours serves you, you know, great value in your weeks ahead, your months ahead, your year ahead, with greater clarity, and you know, helps you be more energized and inspired, and pulls you through the difficult times, because we all face difficult challenges in life for different reasons, all kinds of different reasons. But as John Maxwell says, nothing worthwhile or everything worthwhile is uphill.
Mm.
Everything worthwhile is uphill, which means it's work. It's hard work.
Well, one other thing I want to mention is that getting clarity on these things early on is going to serve you well when you hit your 40s and your 50s, when you start having your parents die, you have siblings die, you have friends. I mean, in your 30s, you have no idea what's coming down the path. And getting clarity on this stuff is going to give you the foundation to push through the hard times.
That's so good.
Yeah,
I
mean, it's a compass. I think of all of this as a compass for life, and it helps, keep you, in on the game, in the game, on the playing field, not out in the parking lot.
Adelina, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, the fact that this is recorded, that at any point you can go back to that exact section that you didn't get a chance to finish, or maybe you got, 2 of the 5 values really worked out and you have 3 other values that you really want to work out. What a perfect time of year. Nothing will change unless something changes, right? And so 2024 will be another year like this year, and 2030 will be the same, right? Or it'll be what it'll be. It'll be by default instead of by design. So I'm super grateful for this, super grateful that we can use it for the future.
Well, we're grateful to be invited to do this, because we feel it's an honor to be invited into your lives and into your psyches. And Nick, when you see us at Built How, please come up and say hello.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your journey, because I know it's kind of intimidating on Zoom. But anyway, well, we are through and 30 minutes early. And thank you so much for your attention and your participation, and hope that you've taken something from this into, your journey.
I love that. Thank you guys. Peter, Sarah,
Yeah.
Thank you. Those of you who hung out the entire time, awesome. Those of you who are going to listen in later at a different time, super awesome. Sarah and Peter are in Atlanta, and you can find them on the place roster. Super
We would
easy.
love your referrals.
They absolutely would love your referrals. They're building big things. Now we know what their big why is, right? So apparently Georgia and Florida are going to be their stomping grounds.
Yeah.
We're in the downtown Buckhead area in the luxury division, and I'm also part of the sports and entertainment division of Keller Williams. We work with high net worth individuals, but also first time home buyers. So would love to accept your referrals. So, hey, I want you to write down our information. I'm going to put it in the chat, and my number is 78. Let me 404-784-4871. Yep. That's my number. So those are our 2 phone numbers. Text us. Put us in your phone and let us know who you are, so we can put you in our phone, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah. Yeah. And I added my number there too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye
you guys.
Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.